Or Caitlin Clark.
Caitlin Clark is the best thing that's ever happened to the WNBA. And that's exactly why the league is struggling right now. Not because of jealousy, not because of officiating, not because of marketing mistakes, but because the WNBA was never designed to absorb one player becoming this big, this fast. Caitlin didn't break the league. She exposed its limits. And once you understand where that pressure is coming from, you can't unsee it. When Caitlin Clark entered the WNBA, she didn't arrive quietly. She didn't arrive as a developing prospect or a long-term project. She arrived as a national moment. The attention didn't build gradually over seasons. It didn't spread slowly across teams, markets, or storylines. It hit all at once. Television schedules adjusted immediately. Arenas sold out overnight. Viewership spiked whenever she played. Conversations about the league suddenly revolved around one name. That speed is the part most people underestimate. Professional sports leagues are built for growth, not shockwaves. They expect attention to rise incrementally. They expect stars to emerge in clusters. They expect the system to adapt slowly as interest expands. Caitlin Clark disrupted that entire rhythm. She compressed what normally takes years into months. And when that happens, even healthy systems start to feel strain. Every league operates on a set of assumptions, whether they acknowledge it or not. They assume star power will distribute itself over time. They assume media narratives will balance naturally. They assume fan interest will widen horizontally instead of collapsing vertically onto a single figure. The WNBA was built on those same assumptions. Caitlin Clark didn't challenge them intentionally, but her presence forced all of them to be reconsidered at once. She didn't rise with the league. She rose faster than it. That distinction matters far more than any single controversy people argue about online. Because when one player becomes the primary driver of attention, everything around them becomes magnified. Every whistle feels heavier. Every off night becomes a storyline. Every league decision gets interpreted through one lens. Not because anyone wants it that way, but because attention naturally concentrates where gravity is strongest. This is where the pressure started to show.
Carter and Clark. That's clearly a foul, which was called. The question is, will they call it unnecessary? I think that's going to be a flagrant one. And
I'm talking about in college. Who plays the style that how?
What is the
plays?
style? Just threes?
Wow. It's not just threes.
What is her style?
Second page. Next question. So you had the number one pick this year. You would take Paige over Caitlin? Absolutely.
Scheduling choices that would normally pass without comment became debated. Broadcast decisions were scrutinized in ways they never had been before. Officiating, which has always been imperfect across every league, was suddenly treated as symbolic rather than procedural. Even internal dynamics within the league began to feel different. Not because players changed, but because the environment around them did. And here's the part that's uncomfortable to admit. None of this is really about Caitlin Clark as a person or even as a player. It's about what happens when a system built for steady, controlled growth is suddenly forced to react to exponential attention in real time. Everyone involved had to respond immediately. League leadership had to manage expectations they'd never faced before. Veteran players had to navigate a media landscape that suddenly revolved around a new center of gravity. Fans projected hope, frustration, and fear onto situations that were far more complex than they appeared on the surface. No one was operating from a tested playbook, because there wasn't one. This is why the moment felt chaotic at times. Not hostile, not malicious, just strained. There's a popular argument that resurfaces whenever this conversation comes up. People say the league should have been ready. that with all the talk of growth, investment, and progress, the WNBA should have anticipated this moment. But readiness isn't a switch you flip. You don't suddenly become structurally equipped for a global superstar just because you deserve success. Infrastructure always lags culture. Systems always trail attention. And this isn't the first time basketball has gone through something like this. The NBA has faced this kind of pressure before. In the late 1970s, the league was struggling with relevance. Attendance was inconsistent, television ratings were uneven. The talent was there, but the urgency wasn't. Then, Magic Johnson and Larry Bird arrived at almost the same time. Their rivalry didn't just elevate their teams, it forced the league to reorganize its identity around a new narrative. Broadcasts became more important, scheduling adjusted, marketing evolved. The NBA wasn't fully prepared for how quickly that rivalry would capture national attention, but it adapted because it had no choice. The system bent under pressure, and in doing so, it became stronger. A few years later, the same pattern appeared again, this time centered on one player.
Like pebbles into a well.
My goodness. I mean, there's nothing you can do about it.
Michael Jordan entered the league as a spectacle. His talent was obvious, but the infrastructure around him wasn't built for global obsession. The NBA didn't immediately know how to market him. His early teams weren't dominant. There were doubts about whether his style could translate to championships. And yet, attention followed him anyway. Jordan didn't break the NBA. He exposed what the NBA still wasn't. It took years for the league to catch up to the scale of his appeal. Rules evolved, media strategies changed, international markets opened. The NBA didn't become what it is today because it planned perfectly. It became what it is because it adapted under pressure created by extraordinary players. The lesson from those moments isn't about comparing greatness, it's about timing. Magic and Bird arrived when the NBA was culturally fragile but ready to grow. Jordan arrived when the league was stable but not yet global. In each case, attention expanded faster than the system expected, and adaptation had to happen in real time. That's exactly where the WNBA is now. But there's another layer that makes this moment feel even more intense than anything the NBA experienced back then. The media environment itself has changed. When Magic and Bird arrived, attention moved at the pace of scheduled broadcasts and newspaper headlines. When Jordan rose, the league was just beginning to understand global television and brand storytelling. Narratives had time to form. Context had time to catch up. Today, attention moves instantly. Social media collapses timelines. Highlights circulate within seconds. Narratives form before full games even end. One clip can define an entire conversation before context has a chance to breathe. That acceleration doesn't just amplify stars, it compresses decision-making for leagues. The WNBA isn't just adapting to Caitlin Clark's popularity, it's adapting to a media ecosystem that magnifies everything she does in real time. Every moment becomes content, every reaction becomes part of the story, and every perceived misstep is replayed endlessly.
Don't get it twisted. Don't get it. Caitlin Clark is the reason why a lot of great things is going to happen for the WNBA.
This is why adaptation feels urgent now in a way it didn't decades ago. The league isn't only responding to growth, it's responding to visibility without delay. And that requires a different level of coordination, clarity, and intention than sports organizations have historically needed. That doesn't make the challenge impossible. It makes it modern. Pressure only exists where growth exists. Weak points only become visible once they're tested. Caitlin Clark didn't create instability. She revealed areas that now have to evolve. Media structures will adjust. Scheduling models will improve. Star ecosystems will become more balanced. These changes rarely happen in anticipation. They happen in response. But response takes time. If the league adapts, this era becomes a turning point, a moment where women's basketball transitions from steady growth into sustained prominence. A moment where systems modernize, coverage deepens, and multiple stars can coexist within a healthier framework. Caitlin Clark becomes the catalyst, not the burden. If it doesn't adapt, the friction continues. The same debates repeat. The same controversies cycle. Attention gets consumed by conflict instead of progress. And eventually, fatigue sets in. Not because fans stop caring, but because momentum isn't converted into stability. That's the real fork in the road. What makes this moment even more important is that it extends beyond Caitlin Clark herself. This isn't just about how one player is treated or perceived. It's about whether the league can grow faster than its historical limits, whether it can evolve structurally at the same pace its audience is evolving culturally. Caitlin Clark didn't create this pressure. She revealed it. And how the WNBA responds now will shape the next decade of the league. This isn't about choosing sides or assigning blame. It's about recognizing that a new scale of attention requires a new level of organization. The question moving forward isn't whether Caitlin Clark is too big for the league. That framing misses the point. The real question is whether the league can grow fast enough to meet her where she already is. Because moments like this don't last forever. They either become foundations or they become missed opportunities. And which one this becomes is still being decided.